We'll call this meeting to order. We have two bills to do today. Both bills concern the Promise Act that was posted, I believe, yesterday. And with that, do we have minutes from the last and one presentation from the Department of Labor and Industry? Do we have minutes from the last meeting at all?
Yes, we do, from June 3rd.
All right. Representative Cagle, I'm sure you've seen them and you'd like to move them. I need you to say something.
I will move the minutes.
Thank you. All those in favor of the minutes from June, did you say 6th or 3rd?
3rd.
3rd. As written, signify by saying aye. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have the minutes passed. Thank you. Is the commissioner or her representative from DLI, Department of Labor and Industry, present?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Representative.
Actually, I asked you to come and have a little conversation about what we're doing with OSHA and the protection of workers from the COVID-19. And anything else that you might want to add. I know you have to be gone by 3, so, or yeah, 3. So we'll jump right in. Please.
Okay.
Identify yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chair Mahoney, members of the committee. I'm Nancy Leppink, and I'm the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. I've been invited here and today and have prepared remarks regarding the Department of Labor and Industry's OSHA program's response to COVID-19. So there are about 2.6 million workers in Minnesota who work in more than 150,000 workplaces. And COVID-19 has had and will have a significant ongoing impact on these workers. If you were a worker for a business that was determined to be critical and you were not able to perform your job duties from home, you've continued to report to your workplace. And for you, there have been many immediate issues and concerns. Of course, of primary importance was what were the steps that your employer was required to take to assess the hazards and risks of COVID-19 transmission and in your workplace, and how are they going to mitigate those hazards by putting in place safety precautions as set out in CDC and MDH guidelines and OSHA standards. And of course, with that came what were your protections if your employer failed to take those steps to mitigate the hazards in your workplace. What rights did you have if your employer retaliated against you for raising safety and health concerns? If your employer refused to allow you to wear a source control mask, and where could you go for assistance if any of these things happened to you? Additional issues that employees had who were required to continue to go to work as critical employees were, well, what if I believe I'm able to perform my job duties from home, but my employer is requiring me to continue to report to the workplace? What if I am at high risk or a member of my household is at high risk of becoming seriously ill if we were to contract COVID-19? Is my employer required to provide any kind of accommodation? Am I eligible for UI if I quit my job because of my health condition or that of a member of my family? Additional questions were also, what if I contract COVID-19 and need to isolate, or am exposed to COVID-19 and need to quarantine, and my employer doesn't provide its workers with any paid leave, only allows workers to be absent from work for a certain number of days before they're terminated, provides paid leave but doesn't allow the leave to be used for the needed purpose, requires a doctor's note, and notes are hard to come by in times of COVID-19, or requires workers to use accrued paid leave when their employer does not allow them to come to work because they're being quarantined due to an exposure to COVID-19 at work. And of course, the questions included, what if I'm unable to work because I need to care for my children who are no longer able to go to school. And amongst the questions that were presented to the department by those workers who worked for non-critical businesses that were closed by the stay-at-home executive order, their immediate issues and concerns were, what do I do if my employer hasn't paid me my final wages? Am I eligible for UI or other kinds of assistance, particularly if I'm an undocumented worker working in the state? And of course, now as those critical businesses are reopening and workers are now those non-critical workers are now being asked to return to work, they have all the same questions that the critical business workers had in the middle of March. So we know that the best way to ensure workers' safety and health at work is first of all, for workers to understand their rights and the mechanisms by which to exercise those rights. We also know that as a state agency, we need to listen to workers and their stories. Our actions and directions must be based on what we are hearing from the workers who are putting their lives on the line to provide healthcare, emergency services, childcare, food services, and other essential services to the people of Minnesota during the time of COVID-19. So the immediate priority of the department beginning in March was to collaborate with other state agencies, including the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, Minnesota Department of Health, DEED, and other state agencies in order to provide responses to the issues and concerns raised by employees on multiple fronts. So first of all, we began to work on preparation of informational fact sheets and Q&As and guidelines and presentations and videos, and translating that information into needed languages, including a fact sheet that has been repeatedly updated on workers' rights that was developed in collaboration with Human Rights and Department of Health and Employment and Economic Development. We also have worked with the Minnesota Department of Health in the development of guidelines, beginning with guidelines for non-critical businesses as they reopened, to ensure they reopened in a manner that was safe and healthy, not only for the public, but also for the employees who worked in their businesses. And we have now completed guidelines for critical businesses who have now been required under the last executive order to also develop a plan to ensure that they are addressing the hazards of COVID-19 in their workplaces. And those guidelines have included ones for agriculture, construction, manufacturing, general industry, meat packing, grocery and convenience stores, personal care services, bars and restaurants, gyms and training facilities, and various entertainment businesses. Again, there's been significant effort to have these guidelines translated into the primary languages spoken by Minnesotans. We've also worked to develop a template plan for employers to use as they're developing their COVID preparedness plans. The department has also shifted significant resources to answering a significant increase in emails and calls to the agency. Again, and ensuring that those responses are accessible to Minnesotans whose primary language is not English. The OSHA program since March has received over 4,000 requests for information and assistance through emails and phone calls, 170% increase over the same period last year. And the Labor Standards Division has received over 7,000 requests for assistance, a 60% increase over the same time period of last year. In addition to reacting to requests for assistance, the department has also been proactive in outreach, taking advantage again of the department's employees' language skills and translated materials. And that outreach has included engagement with emergency childcare workers and their advocates, the Latino Lead and Minnesota Latinx Council, labor organizations that represent low-wage and vulnerable workers, including SEIU Local 26, where we worked with our English, Spanish, and Somali-speaking staff to present and answer questions on safety and health, and particularly questions regarding social distancing. uh, personal protective equipment, and what were mechanisms by which employees could file complaints with the agency. The department has also specifically responded to issues in the meatpacking sector, not only addressing the hazards in those workplaces, but also engaging in multiple listening sessions with worker advocates and workers. Again, hearing directly from them what their concerns were regarding the situations in their workplaces and challenges they were facing regarding use of leave and the needs to be home and taking care of their children. We've also engaged with labor leaders and worker advocates in the manufacturing sector, another sector in which workers can be at high risk due to the number of workers often in those workplaces, the need for workers under normal conditions to work in close proximity to one another, fostering the spread of COVID-19 in those workplaces. We've engaged with agricultural advocates. We've also began conducting shortly after the peacetime emergency was announced, a weekly call inviting workers, advocacy organizations, labor organizations to a call where the department would update them on the current status of information related to COVID-19, and in particular how the situation was evolving in relationship to rights they had and protections that they were being provided, in particular through governor's executive orders. We understand that it's critical that we engage with those organizations, in part because they are the trusted messengers for their members, and therefore it's critical that while we have good information on our website, many people don't come to our website and they rely on these organizations to disseminate information to them, and therefore engaging these organizations and being certain that they have good information makes the department bigger than it is. We've also participated in weekly, if not initially daily calls with employers, because of course, critical to ensuring that worker protections are met means that employers need to understand what those protections are and are able and can get their questions answered regarding those protections and how best to implement them in their workplace. And in addition to these direct responses to COVID-19, the department also worked and developed the governor's office executive order related to focusing on worker protections, and has been involved in the development of other executive orders, particularly then when they related to the work of the Department of Labor and Industry and protections related to COVID-19. We actively engaged in the development of the workers' compensation legislation that provided a new presumption for certain workers related to whether or not their contraction of COVID-19 constituted an occupational disease. And by way of update, as of yesterday, the department had received 1,754 claims, COVID-related claims. And we've also been notified of at least 5 fatalities that were identified as being COVID-related. And then once that legislation was passed, of course, the department created FAQs on the new law, and we provided assistance related to how to file a claim. And we've also now, because we're seeing discrepancies by certain employers between the number of workers we know who have tested positive and the number of claims that employer is filing, workers' compensation claims that employer is filing. So we are now engaging with employers where we are aware of that discrepancy to be certain they are aware of their legal obligation to file those first reports of injury to ensure that workers have an opportunity to receive benefits under the workers' compensation system. So the department has basically been, in large part, ensuring that good information is in the hands of the people that need it, and so that they can make decisions consistent with that information. these are complex times, and since we have sort of an ad hoc response to many of the issues that are faced by workers, being able to navigate the many decisions that they may need to make and benefits that are provided by my agency, by deed, rights that are provided under human rights and health, and again, my agency can be, and deed, can be very difficult for employees to navigate, and are very dependent on what choices they make, are dependent on what are the specifics of their situation. And so consequently ensuring that they have good information being available for them to call us, email us, participate in our regular phone calls, weekly phone calls, has been critical to being certain that as these situations confront them, they have before them the information that they need to be able to make good decisions for themselves and for their families. Also, of course, the Department of Labor and Industry has responsibility for enforcement. So in the, over the last, and since the beginning of March, we received more than 532 requests for assistance, and 274 of them were COVID-19 related. 73 of those requests for assistance resulted in workplace inspections. 37 of them were COVID related. The department has conducted 253 inspections in total since March. 5 of them involving fatalities, 6 were follow-up inspections, 13 were in response to serious injuries, and 156 were scheduled investigations. We've also received 110 requests for assistance regarding discrimination, which is a 77% increase over last year. So to put that volume of work into context, the Department of Labor and Industry has 43 OSHA investigators. So if you do some simple math, you can calculate that it would take approximately 50 years for the department to investigate the workplaces in Minnesota only once. So understanding that the resource level that we have and now the additional critical demand, because COVID is not limited to high risk, formerly understood to be high risk industries, it has affected every workplace in the state of Minnesota. And so consequently, the need for information is for not only every worker, but also for every employer to understand what they need to do and how they need to go about doing it. So, and now with the obligation that not only non-critical, but critical businesses have COVID preparedness plans, of course, the department strongly supported that, believing that at this point, when we're moving into a steady state of how we're responding to COVID-19 to keep down the curve, it's a need for everyone to be fully engaged in that effort. And that for every business to have a plan about how it's going to ensure not only the protection of its workers, but also the protection of the public. So in closing, I think that one of the things that we need to pay attention to, and that's become that the COVID pandemic has intensified and put into sharp relief, are longstanding challenges for Minnesota's workers, in particular social protections, such as access to healthcare, paid sick leave and paid family and medical leave, protections for undocumented workers, limitations on unemployment insurance, and of course, low wages that do not meet workers and their families' basic needs. So as we work to recover, reset and rebuild, which hopefully is on the horizon, it is critical that we seize the opportunity to reimagine an economy that is more equitable, more inclusive, more sustainable, and has mechanisms that are built in to ensure our resiliency. We need to work and develop and implement critical policies and strategies that are necessary to achieve the vision that the governor has for our state of being one Minnesota. We cannot allow the economy to default to the pre-pandemic settings. Otherwise, as other wise people have said, we'll be destined to repeat and to relearn all over again the lessons that we have learned as a result of COVID-19. So I thank you for the opportunity to testify for the committee today, and I'm welcome any questions that you may have.
Let's see. I think Representative Zong has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. You had noted that there has been an increase in discrimination in the workplace due to COVID-19. Can you share more about what type of workplaces are these and what kind of incidents? Where is it occurring? And who are the people being discriminated against?
I do not have that information with me today. However, typically discrimination often occurs as a result of a worker raising safety and health concerns with their employer, and the employer taking action in response to that type of complaint. Also, of course, if the employer becomes aware that an employee has filed a complaint with the agency, that can also be a basis for an employer retaliating against workers. I don't believe that there is a pattern necessarily in this area, but I can have my staff look to see if there is any pattern related to type of business or type of worker.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Mr. Chair, if I may, Commissioner, I ask because I've been hearing from constituents, not just in my district, but throughout the state, and especially from the Asian American Pacific Islander community, who have been hit very hard with the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I'm just trying to get a better understanding and a picture here. And we've, the Minnesota Asian Pacific Caucus, we held a meeting with the Commissioner of the Department of Human Rights, Commissioner Rebecca Lucero too. So I'm just curious, are these cases also being referred to Commissioner Lucero's office, and are you all working with her office too?
So we work very closely with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. In fact, they are on every week on the worker protection call that the agency convenes on a weekly basis. Commissioner Lucero and her team were also involved in development of the worker rights fact sheet that was developed and has been translated into multiple languages by the agencies. So yes, so if we receive a complaint or a request from assistance from a worker that is more appropriately under her jurisdiction, that we of course refer those complaints to her staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Cagle, I think you had a question, and I think I jumped over you to get to Zong, so I apologize.
No worries. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner, so I've had a couple constituents contact me about worries that they've had at work, and they've actually gotten very quick and good responses from OSHA, so I appreciate that. I was just kind of curious what kind of feedback from workers or follow-up is OSHA doing? I had one of my constituents was texting me pictures of him and his coworkers at a restaurant. They had branded face masks that were pretty much like neoprene, and they couldn't breathe through them. And so a lot of the workers were really having a hard time as they were doing service work. And so I'm just kind of wondering, when those calls come in, what kind of follow-up are we doing? And if there's any kind of guidelines that are going out to businesses on the types of personal protective equipment that they're able to use. So yeah, that's kind of my question.
Commissioner Lepek.
Chairman Mahoney, Representative Cagle. So yes, so if we receive a call from a worker asking questions or raising concerns about workplace conditions, first of all, of course, we answer the question to the best of our ability to the worker directly. And then we will engage with the employer to ensure that the employer understands what the requirements are. So we're also, I mean, one of the major challenges regarding COVID-19 has really been around this whole face covering, mask, respiratory protection, and the understanding of the ability of that type of protection to actually protect people has evolved. So when, back in March, that we were talking all about N95 respirators, we were talking about surgical masks and the shortage, and that all of that should be preserved for our frontline workers. And then, the CDC came out with guidance regarding, well, maybe you could wear a cloth face covering, and furthermore, here's how you make one. There was a lot of discussion about whether they would really work, to what degree they would be effective, whether this was something that could be recommended by either Department of Health or Department of Labor. So as you can see now, if you look at the recent guidance that's been posted on the Department of Labor, the new Stay Safe Minnesota website, now in some instances, cloth masks are actually required for workers. And in certain situations, along with potentially a face shield for people who provide personal services. So that area has evolved dramatically from where we started, at the beginning of March to where we are now. And the data is coming in now pretty consistently that use of cloth face masks does provide protection and makes a significant contribution to the efforts on social distancing. So now, of course, you have to be able to breathe. So therefore, the recommendation is a cloth face mask, ideally cotton, which tends to be a bit more breathable. So therefore, yes, we would definitely work with that employer and those workers to help identify a face covering that provided them protection, but still allowed them to breathe and do their job.
Thank you, Commissioner. Representative Cagle, do you have another question, or can I move on to Representative Hassan?
Go.
Representative Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, I'm going to be a little cynical, so bear with me.
Sure.
We have seen many of the meat plant factories prioritize their own profits over people and put people in, safe risk. This meat plant factory workers are predominantly immigrants with limited English, and were not offered a lot of safety parameters to prevent them from getting COVID-19. Some of them were fired when they said that they weren't, they were afraid for their own safety. I remember one case that someone who called me from Wilmer, who has high blood pressure as well as diabetic, who called his employer and said that he's worried about his own safety. And the employer told him he has to come in. He cannot miss work. And the guy took that risk of going to work and got COVID-19. And luckily, he survived, but he went through a lot. So this is my cynical moment. Why did it take Department of Labor to respond to these cases? Why did it take you guys so long to respond to these cases? And why does it, until these cases were we heard about, St. Cloud, we heard about Wilmer, we also heard about Worthington, Minnesota. All of these cases were something that we could have captured at a smaller rate, but we didn't. And until the numbers were, significant enough risk, and there were, articles on the paper, that's when we find out that this was actually happening. When actually people were calling Department of Labor, people were complaining, but their complaints were not taken seriously. So there's part of me that feel like that we've failed and neglected to prevent people from being in a very, risky situations when there could have been prevention at the forefront.
Commissioner, would you care to comment?
Sure. Chairman Mahoney, Representative Hassan. So you are correct that that the meat packing industry proved to be a perfect storm for the transmission of COVID-19. And as a consequence, it resulted in significant numbers of workers in those plants contracting COVID-19 and many becoming ill and a few dying. So I think that, I mean, I would say that as soon as the department began receiving from particularly advocacy groups calls regarding concerns about the conditions at certain plants, the department did respond. We initially responded by engaging with workers and representative of workers to understand what steps were being taken in those plants in response to COVID-19 and how the safety and health of workers was being addressed. Now, I think that, of course, what the department knows now, if we'd had 6 months to plan for COVID, if we had knew now what we did then as to what were the types of conditions that particularly fostered its spread, we would have been able to be much more proactive and responsive right out of the gate. But as we were learning about COVID ourselves, of course, we were confronted with these immediate emergencies. But I have to say that within a week, we had guidance to the meatpacking industry that we proactively mailed out to each of the meatpacking facilities in the state. We directly called them to get an understanding of to what degree they'd had any instances of illnesses in their facility. We began to conduct investigations of meatpacking plants in collaboration with the Minnesota Department of Health in order to understand what was going on, what was not going on, and what we could begin to do to clearly articulate what were the changes that needed to be made in those facilities. So it's one thing to say social distance. It's another thing to say, wash your hands. But it's another thing to draft guidance that expressly says, no, you need to slow down your line. You need to ensure that you don't have workers working directly across from each other. You need to have hallways that are one way instead of two ways. You need to look at how are your workers being transported to the work site so that they're not 10 to a van, kind of situations. And so it was the result of not only understanding what was the hazard, but how to address those hazards in these workplaces that I would say that, very quickly, both the Department of Health and the Department of Labor went up the learning curve. Of course, it was difficult because there wasn't complete agreement by the federal government and the state as to how to respond to what was going on, generally related to occupational safety and health, but specifically related to meatpacking. But unfortunately, the action was not quick enough to prevent, thousands of workers from contracting COVID in the meatpacking sector.
The commissioner has to leave about 4 minutes ago.
Can I just do a quick follow-up? It's short.
Sure.
I will, yes, go right ahead.
Commissioner, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, are there any of these companies that got a penalty or citation for putting people at risk?
Commissioner?
So Chairman Mahoney, Representative Hassan, unfortunately, because of restrictions placed on data under the Minnesota Data Practices Act, The department is not in a position to make public the results of its investigations at this point into the meatpacking facilities that we've investigated. So unfortunately,
Commissioner.
I'm not in a position to share it.
And Commissioner, I have two questions, and I'm going to be really quick, and then I'm going to say that
That's fine. I can stay.
that data restriction sucks, because more people die going to work every day than, I better stop here. I better stop here. Commissioner, is our Minnesota OSHA in charge of inspecting the housing that companies provide to these workers in meatpacking and agricultural and whatever? And if not, is there some way we could fix that?
So based on Chairman Mahoney, excuse me, under current law, housing is actually under the authority of the Minnesota Department of Health. So enforcement authority of the Minnesota Department of Health. And so consequently, we are working with the Minnesota Department of Health in the development of guidance that now is required under the most recent executive order related to both meatpacking and related to agriculture.
And then, Madam Commissioner, what happens when the peacetime emergency is over? Are they still recommending, or does OSHA have the ability to enforce the recommendations you've made?
So under the general duty clause, Chairman Mahoney, under the general duty clause of the Minnesota Occupational Safety and Health Statute, that an employer has the responsibility to ensure a safe and healthy workplace for its employees. The department can enforce that general duty clause based on recognized standards, even if they have not been adopted as rule. So it would be the intention of the agency to continue to enforce guidelines that are based on CDC and MDH guidelines, and of course, existing OSHA standards, if the peacetime emergency were to end, and as a result, the executive orders would also cease.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I'm going to let you go, but what I am going to say to the members of this particular committee, there's no reason that the Department of Health has a jurisdiction over housing of immigrant workers in meatpacking and agriculture. That should be under OSHA, and you should inspect them regularly. One of the reasons that it spreads so fast in those particular organizations is that right now, the health department standard is 3 feet apart and bunk beds. It's not perfect. And any OSHA inspector would have known that and taken care of that. So having chewed on other departments other than yours, because I think you're one of the best commissioners we've had in my tenure here, thank you for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. And please, if you have constituents who need assistance, please make sure that they are in contact with my agency. We will do our best to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're going to move on to House File 6. Representative, I changed the bill today, or will change the bill today from my chief authorship to Representative Dabney's. Representative Dabney, his area is devastated, along with several other legislators here. Representative Dabney has stepped up and asked that he get this, so I'm happy to give that away. I'll probably make him carry a bill next year for this to get the Department of Health out of the OSHA business. Representative Dabney, would you care to move your bill and present it?
Thank you much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the House File 6 to be before the committee.
So moved. Do you have, are there amendments to your bill, and would you care to address them now?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move the DE1 amendment to put the bill, to start the process of putting the bill in the order that I prefer.
You care to give a little explanation of it? I don't think you have to go deep into the details because it's pretty much House File 6.
It's very close. And first, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for all of your efforts in these past weeks to support your community, my community, the other communities impacted so heavily by the recent civil unrest after the murder of George Floyd. The DE1 amendment contemplates a general fund appropriation to the Department of Employment and Economic Development for support in rebuilding the impacted areas in Minneapolis and St. Paul and a couple of the surrounding suburbs so they can renew their economic vibrancy and diversity from the ground up, and retaining places for particularly the immigrant and Black and brown entrepreneurs who take advantage of the opportunities that area historically has provided. It does so by providing funding in part to the two central cities to help support their efforts, and then to community organizations with expertise in business and community economic development.
Would you care to wait on questions till the bill is in the form that you care to carry it in?
Please, Mr. Chair.
All right. All those in favor of the DE1 amendment, please signify by
Mr. Chair,
saying.
wait, we're not adopting the DE1. We have the A1, so the D1 is moved before us. Then we have to move the A1 to the DE1.
Okay.
So we're not voting on the DE1 yet.
You have the A1 authors amendment.
I'd like to move the A1 to be before the committee. The amendment moves an additional $5 million within the bill to the city of Minneapolis for the purpose of land banking properties from willing sellers to maintain community control and wealth building opportunities in the impacted areas of Minneapolis. It neither increases nor decreases the funding proposed in House File 6, and it is necessary to put the bill in the order that I prefer.
Representative Dadney, the way I read the bill, both St. Paul and Minneapolis had the opportunity to land bank. Am I misreading the amendment?
My read of the amendment is that it moves this additional $5 million solely to the city of Minneapolis for that purpose.
Well, then you can expect an amendment at some point.
Mr. Chair, I was wondering how that happened.
As we don't have the 24-hour rule, I will ask one of the staff to write up an amendment as we speak. Or I will move to the A1 amendment that St. Paul be included. I don't know how to write that.
Mr. Chair, I'd suggest that we adopt the A1 and then we adopt it. We can't do an amendment to the amendment to the amendment. So we can only go 2 layers deep. So my suggestion would be to take up the A1, then find the language we need to add St. Paul into the amendment. But I would defer to staff.
Then we'll stay with the A1 and have staff write up the amendment as we talk. So all those in favor of the A1 amendment signify by saying aye, or do we have to
ask them about
do we have to
parents or grandparents?
Do we have to do we don't have to do a roll call. We can just do a voice vote.
Yeah, later.
Correct? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor of the A1 amendment to the DE1 amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We have the A1, we have the DE1 amended by the A1 amendment.
Tim, you're muted.
Has staff been able to come up with language that we might be able to use for the A1 amendment, or the 8.3 amendment, I would suspect?
Chair and members, I am going to need a little more detail about what you want.
The same language Minneapolis got for $5 million for the city of St. Paul.
Then make an oral amendment saying exactly what is said in the A1. Only substitute the words St. Paul for Minneapolis and line 4.5 instead of 4.4.
So amended, so moved, I should say. And I'll
And then-
leave it up to, let
Please-
staff do any adjustments they need to make. All those in favor of the A1 amendment, the A4? I don't know what number to put on.
We'll just call it the Representative Mahoney's amendment to the DE. Now you're to the DE1, so we can number it up later. And then reminder that we have the Cosnick amendment as well too. But stick with your amendment for St. Paul now.
Members, I think it only fair that both cities have the same opportunity to save their the flavor of their neighborhoods. This was one way to do
Mr.
it.
Chair, could I ask a quick question clarifying?
Sure.
So the $5 million that are allocated in these amendments to both Minneapolis and now St. Paul, are there specific properties identified? Just to clarify, I don't think there are, or is just to give the cities the opportunity to purchase properties?
Representative Dabney?
Mr. Chair, Representative Cosnick's audio went out there, and I heard a question.
I'll answer
but
it.
then it
then.
trailed off.
I'll answer that one, I believe. Representative Cosnick, both cities are suffering from deep-pocketed developers coming in and talking to small business owners about buying up their properties. And though we have not officially declared any particular property or identified any particular owner, we are leaving it up to the cities and the community to identify those that would seriously change the nature of the neighborhoods and the surrounding areas, whether it's North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, or the Midway area of St. Paul, or the East Side. And we're not trying to micromanage this. I think the cities are in a much better spot to deal with the developers. So no, there's not any specific property looked at to be purchased.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. Just wanted some clarification on what we're trying to achieve here. And how does the 12.5 million on top of the 5, how does that play into for the specific cities? Is that also for land purchasing or property purchasing or not?
Representative Dabney?
Mr. Chair, thank you, Representative Cosnick. That will be available for a multiplicity of purposes to cover costs associated with clearing properties, to cover costs associated with public infrastructure that was damaged, to cover costs related to public processes around the rebuilding and community engagement, so that the communities most impacted have a voice in how those communities are rebuilt.
Representative Cosnick?
Thank you for the clarification.
Did we move on my amendment, Travis?
Oh, Mr. Chair, you have moved your amendment, and we were discussing your amendment to the amendment, but there has not been a vote on it yet.
Are there any other questions to the Mahoney amendment? All those in favor of the amendment as moved, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We have the Mahoney amendment to the DE1. Representative Cosnick, I think you have the A2 amendment.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Representative Dabney.
Would we be able, I think we would, I think I would ask with Mr. Reese's permission, of course, that we now adopt the DE1 as amended. And then I'd ask for the opportunity to present the bill and hear from testifiers before we take other amendments.
Seeing no objection, we certainly can.
Thank you.
Members, we have the DE1 as amended in front of us. All those in favor of the DE1 as amended signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
We have the DE1 as we have the DE1 as amended adopted. Representative Dabney, do you have any? I'm ready to take Representative Koznick's amendment unless there's something else on your bill that you'd like to discuss.
Well, I'd like to speak to the bill a little bit, and then I'm pretty certain there are some testifiers. It's up to you, Mr. Chair, obviously. If you would
Yeah,
like.
I think we'll take the, I'll have you talk about your bill a little bit, and then we'll take Representative Koznick's amendment, and then we'll have the testifiers about your bill before we vote on the bill itself.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. As members know, after the murder of George Floyd by members of the Minneapolis Police Department, for several weeks, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and in fact, communities across the country and world protested this heinous abuse of police authority. While overwhelmingly protesters, while calling on all levels of Minnesota government to meet their demands for the arrest of the police involved in their prosecution, that we change the way we provide for public safety and confront systemic racism, were nonviolent, frustration and rage over another police killing of an unarmed African-American man boiled over. The state then failed to provide public safety needs in a timely fashion. The Twin Cities then became a magnet for individuals and groups bent on disrupting life, doing damage, looting and burning hundreds of buildings in the two central cities and several suburbs. In Minneapolis alone, a preliminary estimate of damages is $550 million. HF 6, as amended, recognizes that the areas impacted, the businesses and communities impacted, took the brunt of our failures as a state. The damages found in these communities hurt all of Minnesota. Lake Street, my area, of 75 years ago helped to create the Minnesota that we all inherited. The Lake Street of today, dynamic and diverse, is the Minnesota of the next 75 years. While we must deal with issues of police training, licensing, transparency, and accountability, we must also work together to rebuild these communities. These communities are where new entrepreneurs get started, where immigrants bring their resourceful spirit, and where unique shops, restaurants, and businesses create the warp and weave of life that we all benefit from. Minnesota benefits from a strong, energetic business community in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and these suburbs. HF 6 as amended proposes $125 million in support to rebuild these neighborhoods so that they can regain their vibrancy, be a place for economic opportunities, create jobs, and support dreams. $90 million after the Mahoney Amendment goes to community organizations with the necessary experience and community connections to assist existing businesses to rebuild and reopen and new businesses to get started. The economic vitality of these impacted areas is an issue of racial equity and deserving of our investment as a state. Members, I would also refer you to two documents in your packets, one from Goodwill Easter Seals, which was impacted in both cities where it provides services, as well as the Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers, the umbrella group of entities that work with the many small entrepreneurs that exist along Lake Street, University Avenue, Broadway, and the other impacted areas. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Dabney. It's a great bill. I think it's going to be an absolute wonderful thing for our cities and our state. And Representative Koznick, you had an amendment to this particular bill.
I did, Mr. Chair. I thought the author maybe wanted to have some testifiers, but knowing how time runs on these committees, I'll take the opportunity to introduce my amendment.
Are you moving your amendment?
Mr. Chair, I would move the A2 amendment.
Please proceed.
Mr. Chair, committee members, the public, the state of Minnesota has obviously encountered a couple tough challenges with the COVID and now the civil unrest or riots in these particular areas. I've had the opportunity with many of our members across the aisle to take a look at this, and we certainly want to be helpful. However, I have a concern taking money out of the general fund when we're looking at, in fact, deficits. And so I question the money in the general fund. Maybe we can have a discussion on that. But certainly any funds out of the general fund also hurt the opportunity to advance other important priorities for the state of Minnesota, our education system, healthcare, public safety, those other areas. And so using a source that is also identified by Representative Lee in House File 86, the transit sales tax. It's not very commonly known in the legislature that the counties have the ability and have been using an increased sales tax to promote their transit systems. And the counties of Hennepin and Ramsey are sitting on a couple $100 million at least. I've been trying to get clarification on those funds. And I think it's an opportunity for us to provide some assistance to these communities that Representative Dabney identifies in his bill and are his constituents. I've had the opportunity to tour. I also have constituents that own property in that district and have property owners from my district that are in the, didn't realize this at the time, but a couple days later found out that the Mercado Central. And so I recognize a little bit of the regionality of it. But citizens and taxpayers of the state of Minnesota have been paying in to these additional sales taxes that are just sitting somewhat unencumbered. And so what the amendment does is sets up a reporting mechanism that I think is a good opportunity for just good governance in the legislature so that we understand the revenues that are generated with those sales taxes throughout the 7-county metro area, both for transportation is the predominant purpose, but certainly there can be made a connection to using those funds in this emergency situation. And so that's what this bill does. It provides $300 million as available, which is more than double what is proposed in the original bill. And I think it's a better use of funds than the general fund.
Representative Dabney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Koznick. After the rioting and after the looting and after most of the arson was over, while some buildings were still burning, Minnesota stepped up. They did what Minnesota does when they see a neighbor in trouble. They said, "What do you need?" And we literally had people coming to my area with a pair of work gloves and a push broom and a dustpan, cleaning up broken glass and debris in front of buildings that were still on fire. They asked us what we needed, not what they could afford. They stepped up, and in fact, members of this body called me over that weekend and said, "What do you need?" And I said, "We're a food desert. Every major grocery store in South Minneapolis in my area of South Minneapolis has been destroyed." And they said, "Okay, we're on it. And we're bringing food in to low-income renters in my area." They've continued to. Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in my neighborhood, several days a week, is distributing between 1,500 and 2,000 bags of food to folks who first have been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic outcome of that, and then by the further loss of jobs and loss of opportunity in their community and loss of food access. They dug deep because we have the ability in this state to meet the needs of the people of this state, to build opportunity in this state. One of those needs is and is going to be transportation. And to rob Peter to pay Paul only leaves Peter poorer. We can certainly cut off our nose to spite our face here in Minnesota. We've done it before. Or we can dig down, we can recognize our neighbors, and we can do what Minnesotans have always done. ask, what do you need? So I'd ask for a no vote on the Koznick amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Dabney. And I, Representative Koznick, if I might, these funds, just in the East Metro, if we take these funds, our gold line, which goes out to the far eastern suburbs, let me see. I had it here a minute ago. All of our transit lines, whether it's the Riverview Corridor or the, those numbers of transportation that serve the East Metro, who have been paying this tax all along, and we had to have the counties actually impose it, go away. I don't think that's fair to my constituents or, and doesn't follow the one Minnesota line. We are one Minnesota. We are one state. And anything we do to harm the metro area harms the state as a whole, because we generate 2/3 of the taxes in this state, this metro area. And we gladly provide an overabundance of money to our neighbors. So I would ask that there be a no vote on this particular amendment also. Representative Koznick, you are the author of the amendment. Unless there are others, I'll give you the last word that wish to speak on this bill.
Mr. Chair, well, there are two hands up if others want to speak. Otherwise, I'd be happy to close. Sure.
Let's see, who do I have on this list? Nick.
Representative Zhang was first.
Representative Zhang.
Oh, well, I actually just lowered my hand because you already mentioned everything, but I did want to say that we have to be mindful that when Greater Minnesota gets hit, lawmakers here in the metro, we don't go, nah, they're all in the boonies. They don't deserve any of these. And we need to also consider the fact that a lot of people here in the metro, we, like what Representative Mahoney said, we chip in 2/3 of to pay taxes around here, and so I would really urge that for those of you to be mindful that Minneapolis and St. Paul, we are the heart of the economy of this state. So I urge you to vote a no vote on Representative Koznick's bill. Representative Koznick, I really, really appreciated that you came to my city, to Minneapolis, and toured and listened to the folks from both here in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I so admire you for that. But for this amendment that you're pushing, I cannot support it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Keto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, last week, the Transportation Committee had an opportunity to tour the damaged areas of both St. Paul and Minneapolis on a Metro Transit bus to show us how these BRT lines that are being proposed through the area would greatly benefit the area. And so after that tour and seeing how, what the great need is for these transportation lines are down in that area, I as well cannot support that.
Are there any other questions? Representative Koznick, did you have closing comments?
Yeah, well, thank you. And I appreciate the comments of both the representatives. I'm not specifically certain that these reserves would necessarily be used to operate the proposed BRT lines, and those will be coming in future years. But I understand that there are bonding proposals for those, to Representative Kegel's points. In fact, that part of the amendment is something that I've been trying to get through the Transportation Committee, that we should understand what the uses of are and intentions are of these resources, not just for Hennepin and Ramsey County, but also Dakota and all 7 counties in the metro area. But if we looked at that, I think members would be surprised that there's money that is available there that would provide relief to these businesses, to these communities. And it's not just the outside counties, taxpayers pay into it. This is your own taxpayers in those counties, your own constituents. And we've all already put money into this. I would argue it's probably more your own members or your own constituents putting the money into these. And so rather than passing an opportunity to use idle dollars, this is more funds that's available. Representative Dabney mentioned $550 million, if I heard his comments correctly, is an approximate need. His bill is 125. We're upping that up to 300. And I think more broadly to the point, though, too, is I recognize the regionality and the importance of these business districts. That's why I was there. I was happy to be there. Many of members on my side of the aisle took a separate tour and joined some Democrats on some of those tours as well. So we recognize that, and it's certainly of no fault of the business owners themselves. And so I think it's an opportunity that we should take a look at using dollars that are currently available. And, I understand we're in a special session and things are moving quickly. You want to be proactive or show some action to your constituents. But I don't know that our side of the aisle was necessarily brought in to discuss on different mechanisms to buy in and to help be a partner with you on these bills. They were just kind of popped up all of a sudden, amendments popped up all of a sudden. And, I was kind of hoping to have a broader discussion of what the actual needs are of these businesses, the discussions on what their insurances will pay. And so I think, I'm not sure that this bill is even necessarily ready right now for a primetime unveiling here. I would hope that moving forward, we can continue to be included in discussions on things that will actually get support. I don't know what the path is for this particular bill. If we just want to take a quick vote on Friday that we did something and not have it pass in the Senate, if that's the objection, that I understand politics, and then sometimes we have those differences, and you need to make your philosophical points. But I think this is too important to not include Republicans in this. I have some objections, stronger objections to the approach in House File 86 that we'll be discussing later. So members, we have an opportunity here to provide substantial amount of relief above what was originally authored. And so I would encourage us to take a proactive, fiscally conservative approach of using existing dollars and getting to the root, helping more people and more of these businesses recover in these important districts. So I encourage you a yes vote, and thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Koznick. And I also want to say thank you for touring the city of St. Paul and the sites that we did the other day. Appreciated that. And so did the business owners that you connected up with. Members, seeing no other questions, no other testifiers for this particular amendment.
Mr. Chair, I would request the roll call.
I was wondering when that was coming.
I'm a little out of practice.
The assistant staff will take the roll.
Representative Mahoney.
No.
Representative Muir.
No.
Representative Gunther. Representative Backer.
No. I'm sorry. Yes, I support the amendment. Sorry.
Out of practice.
Baker.
I am.
Baker knows what he wants. I'm a yes.
Representative Clapp.
Josh, could you speak closer to your mic?
Representative Claflin.
No. Claflin votes no.
Representative Eklund.
No.
Representative Haley.
Yes.
Representative Hassan.
No.
Representative Cagle.
No.
Representative Koznick.
Yes.
Representative Mecklin.
Yes.
Representative Moran.
No.
Representative Robbins.
Yes.
Representative Sundin.
No.
Representative Stevenson.
No.
Representative Zhang.
No.
Representative Gunther.
Try it again, Josh.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Representative Dabney.
I'd like to be called on to vote.
Representative Dabney, I have you as a
No. Oh, I'm sorry. You knew I'd already said how I was going to vote. I get what you're doing. All right. Thank you.
Has everyone voted that wants to vote? What will you please total it up, Mr. Josh?
I have 8 yeses and 11 noes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. 11 to 8, your amendment fails. Now we have 7 testifiers, unless there's been more added. I'm going to ask that people testifiers try to keep their testimony to 3 minutes if we could. That'll give us time for the House File 86.
Chair.
Yes.
Representative Backer has had his hand up if you want to get to him before we start testifiers. And
Certainly.
also, I also emailed you a few more names. We did have a few late entries for testifiers who are on here. So if you want to check your email, Mr. Chair, there are a few more in there.
So am I going to go to 2 minutes? All right, Representative Backer.
I can wait after the testifier has some questions dealing with the bill to the author. So if the author wants to wait, it's specific on how things will work, that's up to him. If we want to do the testifiers before, I'm okay with that. I want to.
We'll go to testifiers. We can go to testifiers. Thank you, Representative Backer. I have on the list Mr. Davids, and following Mr. Davids, I have Mr. Bowling, and then I have Mr. Martell. There's 4 or 5 others after this, but we'll start with those 3. So Mr. Michael Worth Davis, President and CEO of Goodwill Easter Seals.
Yes, thank you. Can you all hear?
Yes, I think we can.
Good.
Please identify yourself for the tape and proceed.
Yes, my name is Michael Worth Davis, and I'm the President and CEO of the 100-year-old Goodwill Easter Seals of Minnesota. Thank you, Chair Mahoney and other members of this committee for making time for this important relief bill and bringing it forward. We're a leading workforce development organization, and we provide education, job training, and placement services to more than 5,000 Minnesotans every year. Representative Dabney mentioned a letter that you all received, so I will try to keep this brief so that Mr. Bowling can talk about Minneapolis. We were significantly impacted by the retail closures, our retail closures. As you know, we run Goodwill stores. The net from those stores allow us to help support services and programs that I just mentioned, and also we're a major employer across the metro and the rest of the state. But that closure of all of our stores lasted more than 2 months, and we found ourselves in some pretty uncharted financial territory. With more than 500 employees, we have not been eligible or qualified for any of the federal relief dollars that have been provided. The unrest then, following the COVID, added just another layer of complication to the financial picture that we are presented with. Our property was destroyed on both University Avenue and on Lake Street. With state restrictions beginning to lift, our St. Paul Goodwill store on University and Griggs was chartered to open on June 1st. However, we experienced arson and looting at that location, and that will force us to remain closed for another at least 8 weeks for repair. To date, the estimated damage at that location is upwards to $700,000 and still climbing for the estimated damage to the building, and then operating losses around $400,000. We also experienced arson at the Lake Street location that houses our Father Project. I continue to tell anyone who will listen, nonprofit organizations need grants at this point or forgivable loans. Having already used lines of credit, reserves, a loan would only put us further in debt. While our financial situation is currently uncertain, Goodwill Easter Seals is committed, and I'll underscore committed, to rebuilding our store on University Avenue and continuing to provide much needed family services on Lake Street during this important time in the Twin Cities. Our services, we believe workforce services will be critical as we move forward and come out of both some of the pandemic and then the protest and other things that just happened to us. The death of George Floyd and the protests that have followed have served to intensify the light shining on the longstanding racism, discrimination, and systemic injustice. We realize that these are uncertain times for all of us, but they are especially daunting for the people that we are privileged to serve. Men in particular are dismissed or overlooked in many of these systems. Our Father Project on Lake Street has a long history of integrating services to help men become more self-sufficient and better fathers. Guy Bowling, our manager of the Father Project, is here to share about the Lake Street location and the work that we do to help systems like child support and the criminal justice system work better. I'll turn this over to Guy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please identify yourself for the tape and proceed, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Guy Bowling. I'm the program manager for the Father Project. Let me thank you, Chair Mahoney, and members of the committee. As our President and CEO, Michael Worth Davis, was sharing, our program has operated on Lake Street in South Minneapolis, just across the street from the 3rd Precinct. For 10 years, the program serves primarily men of color, mainly African-American men who are low-income, non-custodial fathers. Most are unemployed or underemployed. We support, motivate, encouragement in ways that are essential for them to become better dads. We integrate job coaching, placement, parenting classes, child support, GED education, and a whole lot more. Unfortunately, our program, as Michael was sharing, space in the Coliseum building was destroyed during the recent unrest in South Minneapolis. Capital losses nearly $50,000 in furnishings, computers, phone, and the network system. Unfortunately, our space is now uninhabitable. There's an urgent and immediate need for resources to support space, staffing, and programming to keep Father Project service available and vibrant in our community. The men in our community, they need services now and will need services and us in the years to come. We have testified before you in recent years. From that testimony, you know that the men we serve are not supported through other government funding streams. $300,000 in financial resources will allow us to continue to be an embedded presence on Lake Street, continuing to provide services that help lead healing and systems that change our community needs. We're seeking a temporary location from which to operate so that our staff, who are neighborhood residents as well, including myself, can continue to support men in the community. Either a direct appropriation to the Father Project, similar to what was before last year's conference committee, or a $250,000 grant through this bill will provide critical and financial support needed to make rebuilding a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowling. Next on the list is Alfredo Martel from VITA.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief and not redundant in my commentary. My name is Alfredo Martel, President CEO of the Metropolitan Economic Development Association. MEDA's mission is to help minority entrepreneurs succeed through a combination of what we call 3Ms: management consulting, money or access to capital, and markets, contracts, and corporate relationships. We operate a $24 million community development financial institution, and we operate the Minority Business Development Agency's Minneapolis Business Center, which has been awarded the top performing center in the country for the last 4 years. We're very Minnesota proud, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to testify today. As recovery, repair, and rebuilding cost estimates reach the $1 billion mark, we feel that this bill is an excellent start to the rebuilding and recovery of minority-owned businesses. Stated earlier, the difficult situation that was brought forth by the COVID-19 pandemic was seriously compounded by the recent events of protest and unrest. There's a role in philanthropy for all this, and we acknowledge that, but it's certainly not enough. I'll share some information, some client information that we see right now. We see about a 15% gap between what insurance coverage will cover versus the actual cost of repairing a building. That is it's a gap that our clients certainly don't have the funds and the ability to cover. For perspective, a $500,000 rebuild or build will require $75,000 from a minority-owned business owner to bring to the table to just rebuild. Think about inventory costs, think about equipment, think about loss of revenue. During the next 60 days, affected minority-owned businesses definitely need grants to cover operations, insurance, deductibles, benefits, employee costs, and repairs. Most of the affected businesses have used their available on-hand cash as they were dealing with COVID-19. They do not have extensive capital resources to stay afloat, so they need grants. Over the next 2 years, minority businesses are going to need capital to repair and rebuild and recover, and they're going to need it from community organizations like CDFIs across the state. Banks are already tightening lending. We are already seeing that. MEDA alone has half a dozen instances in the last 2 weeks where banks are turning down loans to minority-owned businesses trying to recover and retool from coronavirus and now as a result of the recent unrest. We feel that the $500,000 limit on the bill is probably a little low, but in any case, we feel that that's an important injection of capital and support to the business ecosystem of minority-owned businesses. Those costs for rebuilding and relocating and retooling are going to be significant. I want to echo Representative Dabney, who very passionately stated it is imperative that we help rebuild these businesses in the neighborhoods. They are important to their families, the neighbors, the cities, and the state, as they must be rebuilt akin to what was lost. I think that is an important commentary on the addendums in terms of returning to what we lost. Minority-owned small businesses built these neighborhoods over the last several decades, and we should rebuild them now. To do this, they need our support and the support of this investment from all areas: philanthropy, community organizations, and the state. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Mr. Martel. Hudan Gulen, I'm going to murder the last name. But...
No problem. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please identify yourself for the tape.
Sure. Hodan Guled. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Hodan Guled, owner and CEO of Briva Health. I am here to share some stories from Lake Street with you today. Briva Health is a community organization committed to ensuring every Minnesotan has access to quality and affordable health coverage. We serve the 7-county metro and the St. Cloud metro areas. And as a partner of MNsure for the last 7 years, we built the largest MNsure enrollment program in the state. We assist more than 25,000 Minnesotans a year navigate the healthcare system and with their healthcare application. We're proud of the work that we do and the impact that we've had in reducing Minnesota's uninsured rate over the years, particularly among hard-to-reach communities who face multiple systemic, language, and social barriers accessing healthcare. Our main office and the main enrollment center that we have is on Lake Street and Hiawatha area, and we experienced some, electronic looting and damages. And as you could imagine, these were tough nights for me and other business owners in the area. We really felt so helpless. It felt like no one was there to protect us night after night. And with many other businesses in the area, we were underinsured. And so we ended up learning that our insurance will not be covering any of our damages. Other businesses on Lake Street experienced a lot more tremendous damage than we did. And right next door to us is which is owned by Ilyas, an immigrant. He opened his pharmacy less than a year ago, and he worked really hard to save and get loans and to start his business. And his pharmacy was completely looted and destroyed. It was set on fire, and luckily the sprinklers went off and the building did not get burnt down. But just like us, he was underinsured, and his insurance will cover less than 30% of the damages sustained. And then few blocks down from us at Lake Street and Chicago is Bismillah Grocery Store, a large thriving grocery store that also sold phone accessories and operated a money transfer service. And they were planning to add a cafe recently, so they actually did recent investments. And the store owner, Kaltuma, immigrated to the United States in 2014, and she started her own business within 2 years. And on May 27th, Kaltuma stayed behind, and she protected her store with the help of a passerby. And she began boarding it up. And as looters arrived, she begged and pleaded with them. She succeeded until 4 a.m. when 8 men, 2 of them armed with guns, came into her store. They pinned her down to the ground, banged her head multiple times, kicked her, and left her taking whatever they could. And then on May 28th, the next day, Kaltuma was at the hospital to get medical attention. And on May 29th, her store was completely looted and burned to the ground, and the whole building was burned to the ground. I talked with Kaltuma this morning. She's completely broken. Her insurance will not cover all her damages. And the real estate investors are calling the building owner to sell the building, and she's worried her business will forever be lost. These are just 2 of the stories from Lake Street. There are countless number of these stories. As you know, these businesses experienced immeasurable destruction, and many are uninsured or underinsured due to the COVID-19 closings. I just want to end by saying these business owners on Lake Street, many of them immigrants, are unlike any other immigrants. They went through civil wars, refugee camps, and came here facing extreme odds of succeeding, let alone building a successful business, while facing systemic and language barriers. They have become an asset to the local economy, generating tax revenues for the state and employing Minnesotans. They believe in the shared American value of when you work hard, it pays off. They are the true embodiment of resilience in every sense of the word. We must not turn our backs on these minority-owned businesses. I urge you to use all instruments of the law available to you to help them. They need to know you see them, you feel their pain, and that their hard work and contribution to the state is not in vain. Please do all you can to lift them up again. And thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you. Members, we are not in control of our time limits here. House Information has informed us that we need to be done at 4:30. So those who are here for the second bill of the day, House File 86, will have to come back later tonight. We may have to bring back the authors and some of the questioners for 6. But thank you again, I appreciate it. So I'm going to tell the folks here for House File 86, watch your emails, watch your emails. because we'll come back. We have to find a time that we can come back at tonight. This bill, we will do House File 86 tonight. And seeing how we only have a half an hour and a variety of questions on this, I am going to enforce a strict 2-minute rule for any testifiers from now on out. I tried to keep testifiers short, but we are there. So, Ilbron Demaj, D-E-M-M-A-J. If you'd identify yourself for the tape and please proceed, sir.
All right, my name is Abraham Demaj. We've been owning a business, furniture store in Chicago and Lake for the last 27 years. We've been in this community for over 35 years, helping the communities. We started this business from us, delivery guys. Finally, we get to own our own business. What happened on May 28th, it was just, I can't even explain it until now. We lost our building completely. The day before that, they stole our truck and they stole our furniture within it. We still cannot locate that truck. They came back the next day and tortured the building to the ground. So we really urge the community of the Minneapolis. We've been let down by our officials. There was no securities. We called 911. We called the governor office. We called the mayor office. We couldn't get any help. So we pay our taxes just like anybody else. We've been paying for the last 27 years. We're paying our sales tax. We're paying our property tax. We haven't had any kinds of faults to anything that we have, that we know. So we urge the community and the people who are sitting and listening to this, we really want you to guys understand that we are in the front line of Lake Street. We've been keeping and serving this neighborhood for the last 27 years. Every communities, we have customers that come from St. Cloud, Wilmer, Faribault, Waseca. We make a custom furniture made here in Minnesota. So now that dream is gone, it's lost. So I will finish my comment on this. We really urge you guys to support us. We want unconditional support from you guys. That's what we wanted right now, more support from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Abraham. We'll do what we'll do as best as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad Cluis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Chair, I'm Chad Cluis, Executive Director of the Midway Chamber of Commerce. We've been here for over 100 years now. We say we go from capital to campus, so a lot of our members and a lot of the businesses were impacted. I recognize a lot of you from the tour on Sunday, so thank you to all of you who were able to make it to the Midway community. You saw firsthand the damage, and you heard the stories from some of our business owners. I think of the business owners like Bole, Ethiopian Cuisine, that was going to open up their fast food version 2 days later, and the fire took down their entire building and they burned before they could offer Ethiopian fast food to everyone. I think of Lloyd's Pharmacy, as many pharmacies got hit and their building burned to the ground. And as who Dan referred to earlier, a lot of the businesses we're talking about are underinsured, and a lot of them can't get loans. They don't have a banking relationship. They're struggling. Some of them they're not eligible for the PPP or other programs, and they need help. They're small businesses, and these are the places that have made our community thrive. I mean, the Midway, in a sense, is like a small town. When you think about those small towns that thrive because of an immigrant community that comes there and saves it, the Midway and University Avenue is a lot like that too. Our theme and our motto at the Midway Chamber is we're building a stronger Midway. And right now we're all about rebuilding a stronger Midway with our community partners. And we thank you for all the support that you can give us too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clusic. Joe Pumplin, the Executive Director of I'm not sure where you're from, sir, but Joe please come to the table. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Saw you the other day.
Yes, I'm Ju Pomplin. Thank you, Chair Mahoney and committee members. I'm the Executive Director of the Alliance for Metropolitan Stability. The Alliance is an alliance of 33 organizations with a mission to advance racial, economic, and environmental justice in growth and development here in the Twin Cities. And I'm additionally in relationship with over 20 grassroots community development organizations supporting small businesses and micro enterprises in our Black, Brown, Indigenous, and immigrant communities. And so I just want to commend you all for taking quick substantive action that provides both immediate emergency relief as well as looking into the future for the longevity and well-being of our Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities, especially those who live, work, and play in the neighborhoods that were impacted by the unrest. And I think we can agree that the areas that were hit hardest are also areas that are experiencing a lot of gentrification and displacement pressure due to just very rapid market rate development in surrounding their neighborhoods. And so I appreciate the flexibility that this bill also provides for the local response. And I just want to make sure that the $125 million that this bill would put into our communities does not become a vehicle to displace us, but rather is a vehicle to heal us and get us to the other side of this uprising. And so I think that this bill can do that with some intentionality and thinking more explicitly about how those funds get put into our communities and who leads that work. And so making sure that as those funds go out, that it's the community organizations that are proposing and then implementing the work are centering in our Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities by having us at the table and in leadership and decision-making around these processes and programs. That the creation of jobs through these dollars are employing our Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities, BIPOC communities, in both contractors as workers, and then also as vendors to the materials that are needed. But also within that, then that the money as they go through the state, as they go through these community organizations, that those jobs are also being created for our communities to be in those positions that are managing the money. And finally, I also want to say that and a lot of people have talked about this, the pressure from outside investors and developers for our property owners who lease to our communities to try to profit from this, this trauma that we've experienced and going through, to profit through it by trying to sell their properties, by not letting our businesses back into the properties that have been harmed. And so I think there needs to be clear provisions to prevent our the property owners from being able to do that at this time. And so I say this all in reflection to the monitoring aspect of the bill, and the monitoring aspect of the bill does not account for these things. And so I really encourage that as this bill moves forward and gets passes and gets into implementation phase, that you really think about the intentionality that goes behind how these dollars are distributed and managed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Kristen Gill from the City of St. Paul.
Unmuting. Good afternoon, Chair Mahoney and committee members. My name is Kristen Guild. I'm the Interim Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of St. Paul. And I'm here today with my colleague, Kosar Mohammed, and several community members to testify in support of House File 6. Chair Mahoney, I'd like to start by thanking you and members of the House for your really strong leadership in understanding and addressing the trauma that the St. Paul community is facing right now. Chad Koulis noted a number of specific businesses that were impacted, and you've seen the damage and talked with business owners on your tours of the city, and appreciate all of you coming out and seeing for yourselves and really understanding the work that we have before us. In St. Paul, we know of 313 businesses that have been damaged in the civil unrest following Mr. Floyd's murder. And the damage ranges from broken windows and graffiti to full destruction. Most of the businesses damaged are located along University Avenue, but you've seen on your tours also that there was significant damage in other parts of the city as well, including along Snelling Avenue and on the city's east side. Our goals align with those articulated in the House bills that are being reviewed this week. St. Paul seeks a just, equitable economy. And our vision is a community-driven rebuilding effort that builds deep and lasting community wealth, prevents displacement, as Juhi was referring to, and invests in the cultural assets of our community, We see this work playing out in 3 phases: immediate recovery, community-led reimagining, and rebuilding for all of us, with community at the core, in defining the investments and in reaping the benefits. So one of the advantages that we see in House File 6 is really that it puts community at the center and provides that flexibility, provides most of the dollars to community organizations. Sorry, that's my timer. I was on 2 minutes. So I'll wrap up. Thank you for the flexibility. Thank you for putting community first. And thank you for your deep leadership in providing resources to the City of St. Paul and rebuilding a community that works for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Kausar Mohammed?
Hello. Much like what Kristen had shared with the
Could
city.
you identify yourself for the tape, please?
Yes, Chair Mahoney. My name is Kausar Mohammed, and I'm with the City of St. Paul's Planning and Economic Development Department, supporting the Cultural Destination Areas Initiative. So what we find is within the City of St. Paul that we have a lot of grassroots-led organizations and a lot of groups that we're working with in partnership to really have a foundation and framework to really work on economic justice that is intentional and authentic. The City of St. Paul's Cultural Destination Area Initiative is a place-based economic development strategy and wealth building strategy that builds upon the cultural assets to really create a compelling and authentic destination for residents and visitors to eat, shop, play, learn, and engage with one another. And we find that without the funds to really sustain this work and dealing with 2 pandemics right now, both one with racial injustice and the COVID-19, the city really needs some sustainable funding that can really invest in these communities, and especially the partners that we've been working with for the past couple of years. And we hope that within this investment, we can continue to really engage our community partners to have some intentional investments and really uplift and sustain and preserve the economies that have already existed in those areas, and really offer some opportunities to really uplift that work that is already happening on the grounds. So I leave my leftover time for other folks to speak from community.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Gene?
Gene Galgalu.
Good to see you again, sir.
Okay.
Identify yourself for the tape.
My name is Gene Galgalu, President and CEO at African Economic Development Solution. Thank you, Chair Mahoney, and member of the committee for this opportunity to present. And also, I want to thank you for your leadership, for coming to the area that most impacted, to see yourself about the impact of the businesses. Some of those businesses were in tears when they testified on during the tour. So AEDS started 12 years ago, and we are a CDFI lender in Minnesota, and we have a creative placemaking in the city of St. Paul, where we serve using art and culture as a strategy for economic development strategy. What we did here about the impact of this civil unrest. You know, we have both on Lake Street. You just heard about the impact of businesses on Lake Street. The same thing, my colleague Chad at the Midway Chamber also mentioned some of the businesses. There are some businesses not even mentioned in their business that impacted both in St. Paul, Midway, and East Side, and on Lake Street. Our clients are heavily in Lake Street. We have Midway burned down, looted, and we hear from the business owner they are either underinsured, that what others are testifying, and also some of them I heard they dropped their insurance because of COVID during the COVID shutdown. We hear those are some of the businesses don't have insurance. This is a really a big impact to the fabric of our communities, and building up the community now at the time that we need the community need help the most. We need not displacement. Most of this business don't own the building. Because they don't own the building means they don't have control over the rebuilding. So I think I urge this body to consider how to also the sustainability of those businesses to go rebuild their businesses from there. And we support a ground up
Gene, can you come to a conclusion soon, because we're trying to actually not get cut off by the House information.
So yeah, we support the House 6 to support community ownership of the building, so community city to acquire or own the property, so our businesses don't gentrified and ground up rebuilding our businesses and our community, reimagine together and build a city that works for all of us.
Thank you, Gene. We have two more, Ranjan Thor and Ruby Lee.
Good afternoon, Chair Mahoney and members of the committee. My name is Vameng Taj. I'm with the Asian Economic Development Association. I want to thank members of the committee who were part of that tour on Sunday to Eastside and University Avenue. I had the honor of helping organize that, and so I'm very grateful that you were able to actually go up there and hear and listen to businesses. And that's probably my main point here. I mean, everyone has said probably what needed to be said, but I want to remind everyone that we're dealing with real people. We're dealing with real communities and families who are impacted. We heard on that tour what people are experiencing. They had to, they have employees, so their businesses provide jobs, and those jobs could be gone permanently if we don't support these businesses to recover. We have, as our officials from the city talked about, our cultural corridors. Those are community spaces that add to our local economy and our regional economy. And so we have to rebuild and make sure that they're sustainable. And so this bill will go a long way to help recover and help us to rebuild, so that we could bring our businesses back. We could help the folks who are struggling right now and bring their employees back, and create an economy that's based on the neighborhoods and our main streets, and make sure that they're sustainable for the future. So with that, I just urge all of you to really consider what you heard when you went out there on the street, what you saw. Again, and we saw businesses who were desperate, who were crying and so on. And we saw damages and the incredible amount of money that was needed for many of these businesses to reopen again. And so at the core of this, it is about people and jobs and our neighborhoods that we're talking about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now one of my favorite people in the whole world, Ruby Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What a compliment. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. My name is Ruby Lee. I'm president of CLUS, Comunidades Latinas Unidas en Servicio. We are an organization that serves all of Minnesota and have offices in both on Lake Street and the east side of St. Paul. Our work is holistic for families and immigrants, Latino families in particular, working on health education, family stability, and economic empowerment. We have been vested in the neighborhoods of St. Paul and Minneapolis for the last 20 years at least. So you have seen me a couple of times coming in. I am excited, and I'm here in support of House File 6 because, Chairman Mahoney, I also want to thank you for adding St. Paul to the land banking properties bill. we, as part of the work that all of us want to do around social justice, economic justice is at the heart of all of this situation. And part of that economic justice is not only helping to sustain the viability of the businesses that have contributed to the economy of the state, but also contribute to immigrant and minority-owned businesses who have put their life savings or maybe have used their own house as an asset to be able to start their business. So our organization has been serving families. We have been raising money ourselves just to be able to help families. For the businesses, it's critically important. And I appreciate that the nonprofits are part of this in partnership with the city, because we have been working for many years, many of us who spoke today, with both cities and the city of St. Paul in particular, to support the development and to reimagine. We need to have the focus. I urge you to hear what Juhi mentioned, the focus on communities of color, cultural communities. It's critical. I'll leave you with that, but thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Thank you for your time today, Ruby Lee.
Thank you, Chairman.
Members, we have about 4 minutes that we can legally meet. I know there are people who have other questions. I've seen the emails and chat room comments. So I don't believe that we can do a fair job of answering the questions of our members by trying to push this bill through in the last 4 minutes that we are legally able to meet, because we have to be open to the public. We have to be seen by the public. So, members, I'm trying to find a space or a time at 8 or 8:30 this evening. So if you will all take some time to contact Travis and tell us which one of those timeframes work best. We will be coming back, and Representative Dabney will answer questions for a while, and then we will go to the House File 80. We'll vote on the bill and go to House File 86. Are there any statements or questions on what I'm trying to do here from the members? Seeing none, we are in recess until 8 or 8:30. Thank you all. And as again I said, please contact Travis with times that work best for you. Thank you all.